Long time no chat. There you see him with our pal Alex Anthopoulos. Al, good to talk. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Doing really well. You?
Always a pleasure. We got a lot to do. We haven't talked since the postseason. Let's go through that for a sec first. What a job you guys did. Superb. The two series. The Dodgers, you gave them a great run. Here is the one thing that bothered me watching the last couple games. A lot of first swings on first pitches down by a run late in especially Game 7. I would have liked to have seen the count worked a little better, get a guy on base, get that tying run in a good spot. Swung on a lot of first pitches. What's your take on that down a stretch there against the Dodgers? Let me hear.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at the series. You can pick at a lot of things. Obviously, when you lose, you spend more time going through it and so on. I think there's, like anything, one, you give the Dodgers credit. They're an unbelievable team and definitely fully deserving of winning the World Series. And you have to win 4 in the series to advance. So we got close. That last game, we were down a run. But look, from an offensive standpoint, our offense was right there with LA's the entire year. I think we were 2 runs apart over the course of the full year. We had an explosive team, deep the lineup across the board, 4 guys that won silver sluggers as well. So, it's tough. LA did a great job with their game planning. Things were close. And hopefully we can get back there again and get a shot at it again.
You know what? The funny thing is you don't pay too much attention to that sometimes in the long 162. But when you get into that last spot, 9th inning, and down by a run, you got a kid on the mound there, take a strike. I mean, it's 2-0. Don't swing. Those little intricacies, Alex, am I reading too much into it, or is there something to say for that?
I mean, I think overall in the playoffs, our offense did a really good job. The whole team, our rotation was fantastic as well. I think like anything in the middle of competition, you take the body of work, to really pin down on one game or one event. Look, it's about who makes the fewest amount of mistakes, who will be able to capitalize on those things as well. But I think overall, our offense was really good. We were aggressive in counts that worked to our success as well. But tight games. I think, you win that series, we don't have this discussion. But I understand when you lose, you break things down, you take a look at things. I just look at the whole series entirely. There's a lot of things from defense, base running, all of it, where you can always, improve in certain areas, and certainly had every opportunity to win that series. But again, give LA a ton of credit. They were an unbelievable team.
Yeah, the base running there hurt you that one game. Well, let's not get involved with that. I'll tell you, too, you guys have come up with the philosophy, strike early in the offseason. You've done it in the past. You did it again this year. Obviously, Smiley and Morton. You guys have a good philosophy there, Alex. Give me the thought process. Let's hit early when nobody's really expecting it to make our first forays into free agency. It seems to be a philosophy with your franchise. Let me hear. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it takes both sides to want to do it. So we have a game plan when we get to the offseason, whether that's trade or free agency. We try to execute on that. So if we can get things done early, we certainly will. You look at the Ozuna signing a year ago, we did that one late. So we identified him early. It's just going to take time for that one to get done. So I think it's worked out that way, that we've gotten things done early with certain players, but I think those players have wanted to get things done early as well. So we've been able to align. But we don't necessarily have a game plan of it. We absolutely will get signings done in November. We will just have a list of players we try to acquire. If we can get it done early, it helps us from a planning standpoint for the remainder of the offseason. But again, you need both sides to want to do it. And there are times that we do wait and get deals done late as well.
All right. Did Morton fall in your lap, or did you have your eyes on him at the end of the year that maybe this is a guy that you can sneak away from Tampa? Let me hear your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
We hadn't thought about it in terms of his option being declined or exercised. Once he became a free agent, we knew we wanted to do something with the rotation. So we took a look at, obviously, everyone that was out there. He does a lot of things that we like. First of all, great in the clubhouse, great teammate, great playoff experience as well. A lot of swing and miss to his stuff. Always a good example for the young guys we have, especially when you look at our rotation last year, the way we went into the playoffs. They were young the whole way through. So having a guy like Charlie can only help beyond what he's going to bring us on the field. But look, he made it very clear, staying in Tampa was important to him. He had great success there. They do an unbelievable job. They make it a great place for players to play. And that made it more challenging for us to get him to sign with Atlanta. But I think at the same time, we've had a competitive club the last few years. We're trying to make this a very, very attractive place for players to play. And we're glad that he finally chose to come here.
All right, now listen, you're a big basketball guy, so you've seen it with Durant, now also Klay Thompson. Durant took a while. Thompson's going to take a while. Where do we stand with Soroka here with this Achilles? Do we expect to see him, if there's a normal opening day? Is it going to be 3 or 4 months after that? Where's the status here with Soroka? When do you expect maybe to have him back in that rotation?
Yeah, so he's out on the field daily here in Atlanta throwing. Long toss. You see that clip you guys have up on the screen right now. He feels great. It's just going to be a matter of when can he do PFPs? When can he field his position, get off the mound, run the bases, things like that. That's probably going to take a little bit more time. So I think his arm will be prepared. He'll be built up. We have to be smart about it. We're not going to take any chances and so on. We want to know that when he's on the mound, he's able to do everything he needs to do to be able to be in a game. So we don't have a set timeline on it, but we expect him to be throwing when we get to spring training. And then from there, we'll go slowly and we'll make sure that when we're ready to activate him, he'll be full go.
I'd be stunned if he ever left. He is Mr. Brave. You're too smart to let him test the waters. Is there a chance that you can work out a long-term agreement with Freddie Freeman before he enters free agency? Are you working on that? What can you tell me there?
Yeah, so he's made it very clear he wants to stay a Brave for the remainder of his career. We've said the same thing back. When, if those conversations take place, those are things we're going to work really hard to keep quiet. Hopefully no one's going to hear anything about it. The first time hopefully anybody hears a thing is that we have a deal to announce. So, beyond that, he's amazing. Obviously won the MVP. I've gotten to know him and appreciate him more the 3 years that I've been here. And I know being a Brave is important to him, and being part of this organization is important to him as well. And there's a lot of things he does behind the scenes as well that creates a lot of value beyond the MVP play that he has. So someone that we hope will end his career as a Brave, and I know he wants the same thing.
All right, now your lieutenant goes to the Angels. I'm throwing a name out there, Upton. You need a guy to replace, Ozuna. I mean, the fact that you have a guy that goes to work for another team, does that make it a little more? Does that facilitate a trade a little easier? The fact that he knows your roster, your friends, you're going to get to know his roster. Could you see, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but does that make a Brave Angel trade a little easier to put together?
I think it's easier to have discussions and to advance things because you know each other. There's a familiarity. He obviously knows our players extremely well. Likewise, he knows who we're higher on, who maybe we may not be as high on. So all that being said, I like the fact that he's in the AL West. He's far away. The only time hopefully we meet in really important games is come World Series time. So, he's obviously just getting started there. He has so many things to get done with staffing and so on. But look, obviously as time goes on and he starts to get a handle on what he wants to get done there, if we can get a deal done, certainly having relationships is the most important thing when you're trying to make trades. The ability to get on the phone and just throw ideas and go back and forth. So whether it's going to be easy or hard, I don't know, but I definitely think the familiarity could certainly accelerate talks.
All right, where do you see, Alex Anthopoulos here always gives us enough time, where do you see the market here? Is this going to be awfully slow? We know there's 59 or so non-tendered. Are we going to have to wait for the rules to see what's going to be the deal here next year, find out what's going on with vaccines, about fans and stands? Where do you think this market's going to be here? Is this going to take forever? Will there be some quick stuff? What do you sense there?
From my standpoint, I view it the same as I have every other year. I mean, you look at even the past few years, there'd be signings into January, February, even some signings in March. So that's happened the last few years. There's some signings early, like we were a part of the last few years as well. So I don't necessarily see a whole lot of change there. In terms of rules and things like that, we're operating, as from the way we were expecting, the rules that were in place for 2020, from our understanding, was those were rules for 2020 only. So for 21, we're going back to, we're going to operate that way of the rules going into the year prior to the pandemic and so on. So we're planning on not having a DH. We're planning on no changes to the extra inning rules and all those kind of things. So look, if things change down the road, we'll obviously have to adjust. But for now, I think that's why adding to the rotation was so important for us. Getting through the grind of a year. I mean, obviously 60 games, it was a lot easier to get through. Now with a full slate of games, making sure you have enough depth and so on, was really important for us. So that's why the rotation was so important for us to get done early.
Excellent job, Alex. You have a happy holidays. I'm sure we'll talk to you sometime in January. Thanks for a few minutes as always. Appreciate you coming on.